guys? Welcome to another episode of the Poker Vlog. Today we're headed out to a cash game session in Springfield, Missouri, hoping we can bounce back, or maybe not quite bounce back, but recoup some of those wins. We ended up upstuck in the last episode. We were up a whole bunch, ended up losing a huge pot at the end of the night. So yeah, hopefully we can make that back tonight and then some. So not too much else. Let's go ahead, hop into some hands. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and give me a comment down below. Let's see if we can keep that march towards 4,000 subscribers going. We're at like 3,400 or approaching 3,400, so let's keep it going. All right, into the hands. First hand of the session, don't worry guys, we've got table footage coming soon. I've got King, Queen of Hearts from Under the Gun +1, starting this hand up with about $300. This is the second hand that was dealt, so obviously super early in the session, and we're playing 7-handed. An extremely active player opens to $10 from Under the Gun. I go ahead and 3-bet this one to 40 bucks. And he calls, so we are heads up to a flop, which comes down a pretty good one for us. It's Queen Jack 4 with 1 heart. He checks. I go ahead and bet out $60, expecting him to call with pretty much any 2 cards, and sure enough, he does make the call. Off to see a turn, which comes down the 6 of clubs, so no more backdoor flush draw for us. We've still got top pair, almost top kicker. We're going for more value. After he checks to us, I bet out $90, and he makes the call again. So he's being pretty stubborn. Off to the river, which comes down the Jack of Spades. Not my favorite card, obviously, as it pairs the second pair on the board, and I could definitely see him calling me down here light with a jack. So after he checks, I decide to go ahead and just give up, check this one back, not go for more value. I show, he says something about having had the ace of clubs. All right, and we win the first hand. A little while after that king-queen hand, we look down at pocket eights, about to face off against the same player when he makes it $10 under the gun. Action folds to me, and I decide to make the call here. I think this is pretty straightforward. I could 3-bet, especially against this player, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of value to be had unless I flop a set. So, off to see a flop, and it's a good one. Flop is Queen of Clubs, 7 of Clubs, 8 of Diamonds. So we are flopping a set here. There's a flush draw available. I check, and he bets out $20. So I've got a decision here. I decide to go ahead and opt for the check raise route. I think if he has any flush draw, he's going to continue. I think he's going to continue with pretty much any hand here. If he has anything at all, I expect him to make a call against me. He goes well into the tank, thinks about it for quite a while. I'm guessing he really doesn't have much here, especially does not have a flush draw, as he is going to be playing that flush draw for sure. He puts in the fold, and we just go ahead and take this one down. Not exactly the result we were hoping for after flopping a set, but I think it's okay to go for a check raise here, especially if we want to mix some more of these into our range. On to the next one. Not too long after that pocket eights hand, I look down at pocket threes from Under the Gun +1, starting the hand with about $450. There's a straddle under the gun this time from that super active player. I call, and the button ends up calling, and the under the gun player ends up checking his options. So we are headed 3 ways to a flop with only $15 in the middle. Pretty good flop. It's Jack, Deuce, Deuce. So we flop middle pair somehow, despite having pocket threes. I decide to go ahead and lead out $10 after the straddler checks. Only the straddler makes the call. So off to see a turn, which comes down a pretty good one for us. Turn is a 3, so now we've got a full house. He checks to me again. I decide to bet $35 this time. He thinks about it for a little bit. Not really sure what his decision is here. I think if he has a jack, he's just got a very clear-cut call. I don't think he needs to think about it for too long. He does eventually put in the call, and we are off to see a river, which comes down at 9. Checks to me again. I decide we're going to go for big value here, see if we can make this look like a bluff. I bet out $115. And then he goes well into the tank. I'm not going to make you guys wait through his entire tank out process. Obviously, he was really thinking about it, trying to figure out what to do. Eventually, he makes the call. We table our hand. He says he has Jack 9, so got pretty lucky for him to hit 2 pair on the river, I guess. I'm not really sure if he's folding a Jack there either way, so take this one down. Nice to win a big pot against a super active player. Doing really well against him. It's been a long time since I've done well against this guy, so we'll definitely take it, and we're chipping up a little bit. Had a guy sit down right next to us, basically on our lap, so there's no way that we could keep filming without him being able to see our whole cards. We've got King Queen offsuit from the big blind, starting this hand with about $550. There's a button straddle. I decided to go ahead and open up to 20 bucks. Middle position calls, and a very random new player who bought in for only $200 and makes the call from middle position. The cutoff also calls, so we're going extremely multi-way to a flop of 992. I decided to go ahead and continue betting here. I'm not really sure that I like this. Maybe I could do it occasionally, but not very often. I bet $40 and only the middle position opener makes the call. So we are off to see a turn, which comes down king. Very good card for us, it would appear. He ships it in for 120 bucks. I think this is a really weird line. I don't know what he's gonna have here. I think he'd have a lot worse kings than me. So I decided to go ahead and put in the call, and unfortunately he shows us ace king. So no miracle, we lose this one. Glad he didn't have more in front of him, although a shove would have been way more suspicious if he had more in front of him. So I don't really know. Really weirdly played hand. Awkward spot because the person was so short stacked and because it's somebody I have no information on. So oh well, we lose this one, on to the next. So a little while later, I look down at ace queen offsuit from the small blind, starting this hand off about $350. There's a $5 straddle on the button from that extremely active player I mentioned earlier. I go ahead and make it 15 on accident, meant to make it 20, but oh well. The very random player, he's on his phone in like a very deep conversation about like switching his phone provider or something like that, raises to $60. We see a call from the cutoff from a very active player, and the button player calls also. The straddler that we mentioned is super active. I decide all this dead money in there, I'm ripping it in. Time to put it in. I'm not really sure what the 3-better on the phone's range is going to look like. He seems pretty weird. I've seen him play a long time ago, but I don't really have any major reads. But he also seems like he's not really paying too much attention. So it's a weird spot. I rip it in, due to all the dead money. Ends up getting back, folding back to him, and he calls. Everybody else is out of the hand. It's heads up. He asks to run it twice. I say, sure, don't really have a big problem with that. First flop comes down, 10-4-4, turns a queen, so great card for us. River's a king, so we're worried we might be up against ace king. Second board, deuce, ace, deuce. So pretty good flop for us. Turns is 10, river's a king, so if we're up against ace king, we lose both boards. He shows pocket jacks, so we are scooping this massive pot. Instant revenge on him for just flatting ace king against us the hand before. Almost $900 being pushed in our direction with all that dead money in the pot from the two players who just flat called the 3-bet. Finally, we have something going our way. Let's freaking go. A little while later, I've got ace jack offsuit from the button, starting this hand off about $850. The hijack, who's a pretty active player, makes it $15. The super active player who plays every hand calls. I end up calling. A very tight, I would almost say nitty player also calls, so we're off to see a flop very multi-way. Flop comes down, king jack 4 rainbow, so we're flopping middle pair top kicker here. So but with there being so many players in this hand, I don't know how happy we can really be. Action checks to me though, so that's a good sign. I bet out $40 and only the tight player, who I would say might even be a little nitty, makes the call. Turn comes down, 6 of diamonds, so doesn't really change too much. Obviously that's a blank given this board. I go ahead and let the action check through. I'm not trying to go for value here, especially against a caller. We could definitely be beat by a king. I think we're going to be beat by a king here most of the time. So we're off to a river, which comes down a jack. So bingo river for us. We now got trips with an ace kicker. We're feeling great. My opponent checks to me. I decide to go ahead and bet out $110. I think that's a pretty good sizing. I can try to get as much value as possible. He thinks about it for not very long before putting in the call, and he throws his hand away. He said that he had a king later, so I believe him. Makes a lot of sense. We get lucky there and take down a nice sized little pot, getting pretty good value there on the river. In the last interesting hand of the session, we look down at ace king of clubs from the hijack, starting this hand off about $1,000. Active player from middle position 1 opens to 15. The super active player from middle position 2 makes the call. I decide to go ahead and raise it up to $100, and then another player who normally plays higher stakes makes the call. He's in somewhat of a war, we'll just say, with the super aggressive or the super active player. He makes the call, definitely looking to get involved with the crazy aggressive player. Off to a flop going 3 ways. There's $315 or $320 in the pot already. Hopefully we can find a decent flop. Comes down king, queen, 8 with the queen and 8 of clubs. So we flop top pair, top kicker with a redraw to the nuts. Action ends up checking to me, and I am excited. I don't know what the deal was with me. I could not really control my breathing. I felt like it was okay, but I was breathing pretty deeply. It might have actually been noticeable, which would be pretty embarrassing for me. Hopefully it wasn't. Neither one of them said anything to me about it, and I think both of them would have at least mentioned it, if not just straight up made fun of me about it. I go ahead and bet out $150 after the action checks to me. Unfortunately, both of them put in the fold, so no monster pot here to end the night, but a pretty good one considering the fact that we got $300 and something in pre-flop and we take it down. So nice hand to end this off, nice winning session. Let's cash these out and get out of here. Well guys, that's all for this one. In for 300 and out for 1,225. So a very good session overall. Really wish they would have had something to play back at me with in that ace-king hand, but what can you do? Leave a like if you watched the whole video. I really appreciate it, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It looks like about half of my viewers are unsubscribed, so let's see if we can get that number up a little bit and keep us building towards 4,000 subscribers. Have a good one. See you next week.